Let's do this. We are live. We are live right now, ladies and gentlemen. We are finally back.
Oh.
COVID could not stop the show. It is the last nice guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the illest and dopest podcast in the world. Back with the gemstones for your mental, even in the midst of quarantine. I am the conductor of this illustrious podcast. You know what I mean? Freaky Steve, aka Wavy Voice Smith, aka my new alias, Mr. Gray Brims Only, even though I'm rocking a green brim fitted right now. And of course, I am back. You see a few new faces, our first guest, but of course, let me introduce my illustrious co-host. First and foremost, we got, as always, the philosopher, aka Heavy T, aka Hitch. What's good with you, brother?
I think on Sexy Frames this week too, right?
No, you can't jack that. You can't jack that. That's fine.
What's up, everybody? What's going on, bro? What's up, y'all?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Happy Father's Day.
Good to see you. Appreciate that.
No.
Appreciate that. Future Father's Day is coming soon. Uncle Cam, aka the Duce Don, aka Senor Elegante. What's poppin', brother? I see you. Pinkies up. Pinkies up. Yes, sir. And since this is a special Father's Day episode, waiting for my man to log back in. But right now we have my man. He is one half of, I'm blanking on the name of the podcast, but you can fix that for me. But he is one half of the gardening page on IG, Genome and Juju.
All Get it right, Genome.
His wonderful wife, Saray. My man, John. What's good, John? Welcome to the podcast. The first
Yo, I appreciate it, fellas.
Official guest. I'm waiting for my man Marvin to get back in here. Yeah, so while we wait on that, fellas, I mean, we did say 3 months ago COVID wouldn't stop no show, but we were gone for a minute. But we back now. What's up? How y'all been? What y'all been up to?
Man, living, man. Panicking.
Panicking?
But living, man. Yeah, man. Okay. Listen, come on. It's been some real tough times, man.
Bro.
Real tough times.
Listen, we thought COVID was the worst of it in January, didn't we?
Yeah, man. Nobody saw none of this stuff coming, right?
We thought COVID was going to be the absolute worst of this.
Man, what a year.
Not even. 2020 is on
What a
something.
year.
2020 is on something else. Uncle Cam, what you been up to, bro?
I've been outside. I ain't going to hold you.
You outside?
I've been chilling, living elegant, doing all kinds of hood rat shit. I've been chilling, bro. All while safely, though, with a mask on and all that. Yeah, I take my precautions. I take my hand sanitizer.
It be your own people. It be your own.
I keep my motherfucking lights all with me.
He said he couldn't stay in the house.
Nah, I don't know. That being in the house shit, it ain't for me, bro. I couldn't do it. I don't know how everybody was stuck in the house, bro. Nah, because a lot of people don't realize that, like, going outside and stuff is, like, so therapeutic for people. Because, like, you in the house, you just box in so much. So, like, going outside, going to work, doing, like, everyday, regular outside activities, bro, that shit is a lifesaver. So, yeah, I could not be stuck in the house.
Yo. Y'all hear that feedback, right?
Yeah. I hear a little bit of feedback. Make sure your speakers is clear. That's all.
We can play Find the Culprit and mute everybody.
But we working on it. You know what I mean? This is our first time back. So I have somebody here named Shawnee, but I don't know who that is. Who wants to join the stream? I'll say it for a little bit later. All right. Anyway, fellas, it is Father's Day, and I know y'all ain't seen our face in a while. Y'all haven't seen our faces at all, actually, have you? This is the first time, like live on video, on camera.
Yeah, this is it.
Wow, okay. So we delivered on promise. And also, now we can finally plug it. So first off, let's get to the plugs. You know what I mean? As per usual, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You know what I mean? You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at THELASTNICEGUYS. All right, y'all. What else is there? Okay, plug your joints real quick, please, bro.
I think the only thing I got is just Instagram Cam91. That's about it.
Okay. Philosopher.
Oh boy, Philosopher Shots, man. On IG, on Twitter. I like to get it in, man. Philosopher Shots. PHILOSPHAA. Not two A's, just one A. Shots with an underscore. It's real easy. Don't worry. You can find me through our Instagram. This sound is killing me, man.
I know. We're gonna work on it. I don't know what's going on. We're gonna work on it. John, please share, plug your joints, man. Plug your joints. Let people know who you are, where they can find you, all that good stuff, man.
Perfect. Appreciate it, fellas. I want to thank you again for having me. So actually the most important one I want to plug is not actually my name, but my wife, my crib. She has her own spot called the mushroom.tech. She's a UX UI web developer and graphic developer. So whatever your website needs, your graphic needs, definitely hit her up. The mushroom.tech. That's on Instagram. And then from there, you can definitely link up. The other aspect is, as our illustrious host has said, at Genome and Juju, it is a gardening platform, a community in which we are definitely passionate about telling the Black community the importance of gardening and providing food for yourself, as well as house decor with plants. So those are the two outlets you'll visually see us. You can also hit our podcast up called On the Real Tip. Basically, it's a podcast where me and her, we chat about real life scenarios, the real life issues about being parents of two Black children in this world. All right.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. And welcoming our second ever guest to the Last Nice Guys, my man Marvin, aka MG2Fit. What's good with you, brother?
What was happening, bro? How you feeling, man?
I'm doing all right. Welcome to LNG, the Last Nice Guys. You might have heard or seen me on Marvin's podcast. Him and my man, Pretty Nicky. Not safe for ears. Doing big things. Bro, plug your stuff. Plug your IG and everything else that you want to plug, man.
Sure, man, definitely Not Safe for Ears. I'm on IG, Facebook. Make sure you go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Catch all the latest episodes where we try to bring a lot of reality, try to give some insight to some different lifestyles, so on and so forth. It gives you a lot of quality and a lot of value at the same time, while getting your chuckles in. So make sure y'all go subscribe to that on YouTube. I am a fitness trainer. Make sure y'all go to my Instagram page, Immortal Fitness, Immortal Fitness 24/7 on IG. My regular page, MD2_fit. Just trying to, make sure that I try to motivate the world in the best way I know how, and that's through fitness. So I hope that everybody's being safe and well during these times. That's it. I got a couple more things planned and plotting, but I'll make sure I release that at a later date.
Yes, sir. Sorry, having a little. Okay, we back. So now everybody's plugging their stuff. First and foremost, for all the fellas out there, pardon our feedback. We gonna work on that. Don't worry about that. You know what I mean. Sometimes popping this off for the first time, there's a little, hiccups and all of that type of stuff. But I do want to say first and foremost, shout out to all the fathers.
Hold on, where the fans come from?
What's up?
Where the superstar shit come from?
Oh, they was already on top of my head, bro. It was already up there. I had to do my side clap thing. I was like,
Yes, sir. Like I was saying real quick, shout out to all the fathers out there. Shout out to all the Black fathers out there holding it down. Being good fathers to their kids, taking care of their kids. You know what I mean? All that good stuff. Shout out to the three fathers in here. And because it's Father's Day, we have them on because we are doing a segment called Ask a Black Dad. For fathers.
All right.
all right.
We got some questions for you.
I better pass.
You better pass. It's not a pass or fail, brother. It's just.
I know. I got you.
You gotta let us know how you feel.
I was gonna say, yeah. Everybody's time is different.
So first and foremost, What is the most rewarding thing you would say about fatherhood?
Ooh.
Hold up.
You said the
We
most
got another
important.
guest. Before y'all get into that.
You ready?
Hey, yo, Marcus, what's good, man?
Yo.
You ready to go
What
inside?
up, brother?
Welcome
Come on, let's go.
to the Last Nice Guys. Our third ever
Today is
guest.
Monday.
Our third ever guest on the Last Nice Guys. Real quick, before we get back to the question, plug all your stuff, man. Your IG, you know what I mean? Whatever you got to promote, bro, real quick.
Who, me?
Yeah, you, bro.
Oh,
Everybody else already did this.
Oh, no. Listen, y'all go ahead and do your thing, man. We got t-shirts for sale. You know, I ain't really trying to promote Christian.
No. Plug your Instagram. Plug all of that, brother. That's what we're here for.
_ Marcus 8, MARKUS 8. Yeah, man. Just here trying to bring light and change the culture. We got tees for sale, blackout tees. Be one of the stars, man. We are all stars. We're descendants of stars. So, but yeah, man. Just happy to be here with y'all. You know how we do when we get together. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers, man. That's what it's about. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Black fathers,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
black
So,
kings and queens. So, yeah.
since we getting back to the question, I can ask it again. Since all the fathers are properly assembled, what would you say is the most rewarding thing about fatherhood?
Oh yeah, get some pressure.
Just really for me, just seeing your influence. I mean, when your kids laugh or talk like you or use a saying like you or something like that, it's like, hold up, yo, that's me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's for me, that's always like a super rewarding feeling. Just the happiness that literally the small things that you can possibly do really changes their whole day and their whole perspective on things. So just really just the influence that we have on them, that's real dope for me.
All right.
Man, I'm gonna go ahead. I mean, I'll step up real quick. I think probably one of the most rewarding things for me is I almost look at it like a second shot. And the reason why I say that is because all the things that I've learned and I've experienced and the knowledge that I'm able to pass down to my daughter, I look at that almost like my second chance at breaking whatever cycle I had to deal with, whatever the case may be. Just kind of trying to make her live a better life than I did. So it kind of incorporates me to be a better man. So I think that's rewarding is the satisfaction of knowing that like she's a part of me and that she can become greater than I've ever been.
John, what you talking, brother?
Andre. How much are those?
John, what you thinking about, brother? What is your feedback? Your thoughts on it? You there? All right, you look to be a little focused. Yo, philosophy.
Yeah, man. I mean,
podcast, my guy.
yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Like you definitely hit us to a lot that we ain't know about, that we don't understand. But you know what I mean? Tell us, give us what you're thinking about. What would you say was the most rewarding thing about fatherhood to you?
Man, I think the most rewarding thing for me is when they want you, like seeing somebody that is in love with you, you know, that you're just as much as in love with, man. It's a beautiful thing. You know, I mean, I'm a father of girls, so I'm a girl dad through and through. You know what I mean? And so I know I gotta protect them. I gotta value them. And so when they showing that kind of love to you, man, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling, man.
John, brother, what would you say about fatherhood? What's the most rewarding thing about fatherhood? Man? What you've learned from it?
Hold on, before we start, do a sound check.
Sound check? You gonna do a live sound check? All right.
What about the YouTube?
They couldn't hear us.
YouTube need to be muted or something? Like maybe it's the feedback?
That could be, yo. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see what the YouTube is looking like. Yes. YouTube is adding a delay.
Okay.
Yeah. YouTube is adding a delay. So that is
This is
a
gonna kick.
little bit of it. I don't think they're hearing that is a little bit of it. I don't think
Ooh.
Yeah, we don't have it on YouTube, but we have it on. We don't have it on YouTube, but we hear it here. So I don't know if that's
But
something we need to work through. Whatever. But like I said, bro, you know what I'm saying. We back at this. This is our first time. You know what I mean. Getting back on here. So taking it in stride. That's all we can do. But yeah.
try mute. If everybody puts it on, everybody else puts it on mute, maybe, or is it just feed normal? I don't know. I've never done
Yeah.
it.
All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mute everybody, and when it comes time for certain people to talk, I'm on mute. All right. That sounds a lot better. Hey, yo, John. So, brother,
Yeah.
what would you say are some things you learned about fatherhood? I know you got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old now. So, what would you say are some of the most rewarding things you've learned about fatherhood? I can't hear you, bro. You hear me?
You talking?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. You're the only one I'm muted, bro.
One of the biggest things that I've learned is that it's about perspective, like legit. Um, some of the things that what I thought about when I was like single or just married my wife, it was just more like, let me get mine. But when you have somebody fully dependent on you, your whole perspective changes. Where your money goes, who you interact with, who you bring your life, and just how you carry yourself about the world, and is completely different because now you're looking at the future generation. You're looking at providing not only financially but spiritually, mentally, and physically for two whole beings. They call you daddy. So it definitely has helped me understand what it is to be a true man. And what I need to take seriously in that regards.
True. That's deep. So, fellas, what would y'all say is the most challenging thing about being a father? Like, what did you find? What in fatherhood happened that you was like, yo, like you found yourself that you weren't prepared for, and it was kind of a challenge for you to get your hands around that. Yo, philosopher, I'm gonna start with you, brother. Unmute yourself, dog. We can't hear you.
Everything, bro. Literally everything.
Everything.
I was about to
Yeah.
say everything too.
And if it's a girl, everything. I knew nothing. All right, everything. But I could tell you this though: the biggest fear right now is the world we live in, with the type of men that are out there, the type of evil that exists. Every day we got to leave our kids somewhere, man. That's a scary, scary thing, man. We haven't had to do that for the last couple of months, but in the grand scheme of things, we put a lot of faith and we put a lot of trust into a lot of people with our children, and you don't even consider that till you have them. That's when it really makes a difference.
Okay. All right. Well, Mark, I heard you chiming in, brother. What you feel?
Oh, no, bro. I was everything because in my head I was thinking like everything. Like everything is like nobody can get ready mentally for childbirth. Like I mean, for maybe your second child, you can be prepared in my opinion, but it's mental growth, like it's physical growth. Like you can't just you know wake up next day, all right, I'm ready to have a kid. Like you may feel comfortable having a kid, but you're still gonna hit them uncomfortable spots and be shit gonna be wild. But like it's like philosopher said, man. Like the world we living in, man. It's wild, and it's a lot of young black men and women that that were not necessarily taught how to think a certain way, but are a product of, you know, an environment, don't know how to treat women and, you know, respect women and, you know, things of that nature. You know, that's why it starts with us conversations like these, where it's like, look, we gotta, you know, we got boys or girls, we gotta raise them right. We gotta teach them right from wrong. We can't just expect the world and the outside influences to raise them. So, you know, it's like encouraging every father to step up, like, and try your hardest to be in your kid's life, because next thing you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't got the right proper mental tools, it's a wrap.
Facts.
You know, I got 3 daughters. You know what I'm saying? It's like if our niggas come incorrectly, it's, you know, it's a scary thought. It's a scary thought. You know what I'm saying? So now I got to teach them game how to, you know, identify different people and how people move and understanding, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot. So yeah, there's always gonna be challenges, and you know, from day one to day, you know, to
I
the
feel
end.
you.
You know what
I
I'm
feel
saying?
you, brother. Yo, Marvin, holla at me, my guy. What is challenging? What you weren't prepared for? It
Hey,
sounds like y'all all agree
They are,
that y'all just wasn't
yeah,
prepared.
because yeah, yeah. Sorry, man, I gotta agree, bro. Because it's nothing I don't care what anybody tries to tell you about raising a child. Because first of all, every child is gonna be different. Second of all, there's certain things about your child that could be completely different from any others. I mean, all the way across the board to how your patience is, to how your tolerance is, you know, to how you want to deal with certain situations. Because, like, based off of the relationship I had with like my mom, and you know, the short amount of time that I did, you know, get a chance to kind of rekindle with my father, it was like I realized that a lot of the things that I do with my daughter is based off of how my relationship was with them. Like with me and my daughter, she's only 2 years old, but I talk to her like she's a grown woman. Um, just to try to make her understand more, and you know, it's situation to situation, and then understanding that, yo, once my daughter goes to school and stuff like that, like they said, you can't let just the school system teach your kids. Like you got to be at home and you got to do them with their homework, but then you also got to teach them the regular life lessons that you're not gonna learn in school. So it's like you got to go all the way across the board from, you know, you got to think about how your childhood was and growing up to the things that you wish you would have known. You got to teach them that part. Then you got to go through the experiences that you've been through. You got to, you know, notify them about that. You got to let them know how to deal with certain things. So it's nothing that you can actually prepare for, especially because a person is going to have their own mindset anyway. But it's you to make sure that they have an elevated mindset so that every decision they make is righter than the choices that you made before. So, you know, it's always on a day-to-day basis. Like you can never just expect for something to be the same way every time. So, and you know, and like I said, I got one daughter. My man said he got three, and I'm like, salute to you, bro, because I'm like, I'm in the house, and I be like, yo, this little girl just drive me crazy sometimes. You feel me? So, but you know, I love it to death, you know, and it's one of those things that's so unconditional, man. So, but everything from top to bottom, from day one to the last day, you know. So, um, but nonetheless, man, we here, we fathers, we gonna raise them babies right. You feel me? Take care of the youth because they're the ones that's gonna be able to, you know, do what's necessary and handle business as long as you teach them right. So when we do our thing right, then that's when they do their thing right. Then that's when the world becomes a better place.
Hey, man, preaching facts, yo. Preaching big facts. Yo, John, I feel like everybody feels the same way about I feel like everybody feels the same way about fatherhood, that nobody's prepared for it. But
Nah,
you know, give us
nah,
your thoughts on it.
nah. So like, an example is like our son. He was unexpected, dude. Like legit, we were just enjoying our lives, doing a little newlywed thing, just happy and joyful, you know. And
Tap
that
tap.
joy,
Oops.
that joy ended up with a little boy. So you know, that definitely thrusted us into adulthood, into parenthood. We've so you know, it definitely changed the focus. If you heard me before, I realized I was the problem with the whole feedback. So I apologize for that.
It's all
Uh,
good. It's all good.
but yeah, definitely it changed your perspective, man. Like legit, like I wasn't ready. My wife wasn't ready. But you don't, if you're really serious about it, you don't have a choice. You just got to step up and learn along the way. there's no roadmap to this stuff. You know what I mean? So it's just one day at a time. You just, try to be the best that you honestly can to raise these children up for the future, man.
It's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's
Amen,
What
brother.
Amen,
brother.
what did Chris Rock say? My job is to just keep these girls off the pole, bro. keep my daughters off the pole. That's it.
Yo.
That's it, man.
Yo. Nothing but a word.
These little fast girls out here, man. Be influencers. You see these influencers, man. But anyway, let's focus on the fathers.
It sounds like you got a bone to pick with somebody, bro. It sounds like you got beef with somebody.
Damn.
The influencer crowd. He's not feeling y'all right now. That's a good discussion, but yeah. Let me think. I got one more question for y'all.
Yep.
Maybe I can hang out.
Mute us back up.
What's up?
Mute us again.
Oh, I'm muting everybody back up. Okay, all right. Well, we've had a really good discussion, and I don't want to hold y'all because I know it's Father's Day, so you know what I mean. I got to go be with your kids. I got to be with your family. But if there's one thing that you can specifically point to that having children changed about you, what's one thing about yourself that was like, because they say you can't learn certain things unless you're put in certain circumstances. You know what I'm saying? And what's one thing, it could be good or bad, that you learned a trait that you had to get rid of, or something you had to do over, or you know what I mean? Like you needed to let go of something, or you might have needed to let go of something. But what is one thing that you was like, I need to let go of this, or this is something that only having children. Because I mean, a lot of y'all are married. All y'all are married, actually. What am I saying? So clap it up for married black men, married black fathers. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, what was one thing that children and being a father specifically taught you about yourself? John, what's good? I want to go to you first.
Like one of the, I was, when you said that, I was really thinking like, all right, well, there's many things, but I'm gonna try to choose the one that I felt was the most impactful, and that was like having a son and a daughter showed me truly how to be confident in myself. And what I mean by that is like my son is only going to see how a confident black man, a courageous black man walks into the world primarily through me. And if I move especially in this climate that we have now, where you have all these, obviously the Black Lives Matter and then police brutality, you have to work with a sense of confidence and a sense of courage in yourself, in your skin color, in your heritage. And doing that, my son's going to look for me directly. And my daughter's going to look for me directly. My son's going to look, how do I conduct myself as a black man? And my daughter's going to be like, what should I look for in a black man? Or how should I conduct myself as a black woman amongst the people around me? And, when you're single or when you just married and don't have any kids, you honestly just worrying about yourself. You always got to worry like, I'm be all right, what I do myself. But when somebody's eyes are constantly looking at you and they imitate everything that you do, you gotta really take inventory on yourself and say, yo, are they going to imitate my good or are they going to imitate my bad? Because if you keep on recycling that bad, that's what you're going to get. So you wondering why, as my kid gets older, like, yo, where'd you learn this stuff from? Why aren't you stepping up? Why aren't you talking? Why don't you have confidence in yourself? And you gotta, for myself, I can look at it like it's inventory. If I don't walk around with that utmost confidence, if I don't walk around showing them like this is how you move around in this world, I can't expect somebody else to do that. So, I had to take really big inventory of like, yo, how do I talk? How do I conduct myself? How do I interact with certain people? And truly do my research so I can do the best for my children.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yo, Marcus, brother. One thing about that changed you specifically, man.
Very well said to my man that just spoke. Because now I kind of lost my thought because I was in yours.
I
But
was knee deep
but
in that. I'm
nah,
like
man.
taking notes.
Yeah, yeah, not bro. So I mean, there's so much. There's so much.
Yep.
But one of the main things I realized was that was the how we really get our message across to our children. Like before, we've always seen the comedians and society has been like beat the kids, beat them with this, beat them with that. It's been like it's normalized thing, and it's a lot of it's funny. Like, oh, I threw the shoe, and you know what I mean. And again, I'm not gonna say I'm against beating kids, or not that I'm not against it, but I understand discipline. You know what I mean, and discipline. Only you don't have to put your hands on anybody. And that's what I realized. You know what I mean. Before I had kids, I can present myself in a certain tone and just demand that respect versus whooping my kids into submission. You know what I'm saying? So like, for understanding how to speak and how to get their attention strategically for them to understand the message I'm trying to get across without causing harm or belittling or just any type of vicious things, because by nature a lot of us we'll jump to we got tempers, you know what I mean, where it happens, but I say like I probably put hands on my kid maybe like 3 times, maybe. You know what I mean? It was just, a whooping. Because it's like sometimes they need that collection of thoughts. However, it's 98% of the time I'm thoroughly explaining, sitting down, having a true conversation with my kids on this is the root cause of why your actions were, were I wasn't a fan of them. Here's what we can do going forward. So just really understanding how to truly communicate with them to get the most effective response was what I learned, and also just patience for myself when doing that. You know what I mean? Because again, we expect immediate results. We expect the kids not necessarily expect them to think a certain way, but hey, we want you guys to have common sense. So when we do wild stuff, it's like, oh, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, but really, yeah, the patience and the true understanding behind how a kid thinks and how you can strategically, um, get them to be on board and discipline them just verbally.
Yes, sir. I hear that. You're Marvin.
That's all I got.
Yo. It's kind of hard to go behind those.
They spitting.
Yeah, I know, because it's so many levels of what you feel like you learn specifically just from being a father, that it's kind of hard to dial down to one, and you try to make it as significant as possible. But I definitely do agree with those brothers, and I wish I could have had a response first, so I could have used one of those. but I am gonna say, for me, I think my biggest thing was I'm gonna say my ignorance to probably damn, this is difficult, bro. Because there's so many things that you learn as a father that it's like, it's kind of hard. All right, so I'm gonna say the generational wealth gap. And understanding that, what I do right now and what I plan to do for the next few years, and how that impacts her life. So for instance, I've been looking at statistics between the wealth generational gap between whites and blacks and so on and so forth. And I'm not here to break down those statistics, but what I am here to say is that I'm finding out that information, so that way I can figure out how to break down the walls for her off the rip. So for instance, my daughter's 2 years old. She already has 3 different bank accounts. Then there's also another epitome of the fact that we have a house already. Now, whether we decide to sell or rent out that house at a later date, her name is going to get put on there. Then also with my business, with my personal training business, I plan a new LLC, and then I'm also going to put my daughter's name on there, so then that way, whatever the case is, she also receives a paycheck from that in royalties if anything were to happen and my business continues to collect money. There is so many different things that I've just learned literally probably over the past, like, I'm gonna say month or two, especially when everything started kicking off and I was just like, I need to be able to impact my daughter's life now and then set it up for the future. And then even if I'm not here, she's still set up for greatness. And that's one of the things where I'm like, I can do that with what I do now today, to, give her stocks, bonds, be able to pass down real estate. A lot of the things that, some of a lot of our Black generation doesn't maybe even think or even know about. There are life insurance policies that have cash value. In which, in that case, if I get her started now, and every time that there's a premium that's paid, there's an automatically cash value that's set aside. So then that way, when she turns 18 or 21, that's money that she can still use for her pocket, let alone the money that's already through her life insurance policy. So, like I said, it's just a lot. But my biggest thing for her is closing the generational wealth gap. I didn't grow up with a lot. She's already growing up with more than I ever had. Whether it's love, whether it's family, whether it's materialistic stuff, like all the joys and stuff like that, affirmations early in the morning, reading time, all that kind of stuff is being instilled into her. So then that way it starts a new thing for our generation or for her generation. And then that way she can understand the values, life, morals, integrity that needs to be passed down to her kids when she does have them. So.
Brother, y'all are spitting, man. Y'all are spitting. Yo, philosopher.
I guess I'll keep it real simple
on the podcast. So,
all right,
give it to you to wrap it up.
No worries. I'll keep it very simple. Having children taught me and helped me understand God's love. How you could put somebody else before yourself. I would die for those kids, right? And they don't always do what I want them to do. Sometimes they have attitudes. They be looking at me all disrespectful, especially them girls, right? But I promise you, if something was to happen, who's the first one that would jump, dodge, duck, dive, dip, whatever I got to do for those girls? That's how I understand. And that to me is what God is, man. Right? So told you it's real simple. The other thing is I no longer live for myself. I live for my kids. So everything that I do for them. Not just financially, but just even in my actions. I explain, why am I writing? Why am I working on this book? Why am I exercising? I'm explaining these things because they got to be able to learn the tools. I can give them all the money in the world, but if they don't got no tools, they're going to do with it. They're going to end up burning it to warm themselves. Think about it. All right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Woo! Yo, y'all. I feel like we got taken to church, yo. I feel like y'all spit some really serious game. I don't know if we really need to go into the topics. I don't even feel like we should go into the topics that we have planned because, like, y'all spit some realness on fatherhood that, like, me, I'm not a father. I'm an uncle.
But I think we cut that. I think how do y'all feel about the curve of the narrative being changed of Black fatherhood? Because before it was just so much Black fathers aren't around, they non-existent, but now with our generation and the generation coming behind us, it's like that curve is totally changing, but they still trying to stick that narrative on us. So, like, how do y'all feel about that, and what do y'all think we can do as far as a collective of brothers to, like, really enforce the change of that narrative?
Who want to go first? Whoever want to go first, take a stab at it, yo.
Educate. I'll go first.
Okay.
Educating one another, man. We didn't have a lot of our fathers may not have a lot of the tools to really understand, the importance of really influencing our children's lives. And I feel like this generation really does. And, you see the racism that's going on, the sexism and the, everything all the craziness that's going on. And, we have all the resources. So there's really no excuse. Like, there's help that you can get mentally, financially. Like, there's no excuse to not be in your child's life at this, in my opinion, this, but, again, it's two sides of the street, because you know you got situations that people dealt with in the past, and you know baby mothers, wives can't, you know, it's a lot. But less, I'm really happy that you know you asked that, Cam, and I'm happy that in the direction that us black men are going, as far as just making sure, hey, protect home base. Protect home base is what it's that's what it's about, it's what it's been about, it's what it needs to be about. And you know, it's you know a lot of men don't know about postpartum disorder. Like so we when our woman's flipping out, you know, during pregnancy or right after she's done being pregnant for the next year and a half, she's not going to be herself. She had a whole person growing inside of her, and took a lot of the shit that all the greatness she had, a lot of it went away, but it'll be back. But then you know the explaining that to your brother, your cousin, your friend, your nephew, whoever that's you know is expecting is ideal. It's key. Hey, I'm gonna need this something to read up on, things like that. And I'm always like giving whatever type of gems I possibly can, because it's like, man, listen, it's great. Like I said, bro, we don't know what to expect. We don't know how to do it.
That's a
We just
good
gonna
point,
pray for the
Mark.
best. You know what I'm
And
saying?
one
If
thing
you
I want
got
to tackle on to that before we get into the other brothers, it is the education of the father's role into caring and nurturing for the mother. Because I think a lot of people, we don't educate ourselves. Like the only thing we say as a father is be a man, stand tall for your kids, make sure you got some kind of finances and things for them. But at the same end, we don't really have much education on postpartum at all. It's other than it's just like, oh, we expect a woman to know and to go through that. But we play a big vital role in that as well, as far as picking up signs or
Which is real. Yeah, you're right. That's real interesting. We're
yeah,
the ones that have to see the signs, and because they're
like
not going to see it, we're supposed to see
symptoms,
it. That's a good point.
the aftermath and all that. Because like even on Insecure, right? The latest episode, the guy, what was his name, Derek. He went
Yeah,
through that with his wife. Like
yeah.
he went through it, and like he seen the
doc?
signs and he seen what was going
Yeah, I
on,
do.
and he tried to put his input, but he still
Oh
felt
yeah,
like
I
he
do.
felt like he wasn't doing enough.
Spicy.
Mm.
You know, so but I think that's a big thing that Marcus brought up. We do need to educate ourselves on that a lot.
Go ahead, John. Go ahead. We're here.
All right, so I actually also appreciate that question, Cam, and what Marcus said is essential. You know, definitely we got to look in supporting our black women in our lives, because the narrative out there is definitely skewed. But there's another thing that I do want to bring into it, and it's like for black men, I think we need to be more transparent about what we truly going through, because you know, throughout society, definitely it's said that, you know, for black men, when you say like, oh, you hard, you don't cry, you don't do this, you know, you gotta knock some of those things down and say like, yo, you gotta be transparent with your family members. You gotta understand that it's okay to have these emotions, because you're entitled to have those emotions, and you're entitled to express those things. And when you start to break down those lies that were put in through society about black men, you realize there's not really that much of a difference amongst other races when it comes to parenthood. You know what I mean? Other than black men do have to have that talk about police officers with their children. Um, the grand scheme of things about rearing your children and being there and supporting them, there's no big difference to that. You gotta be present. You gotta be present. You gotta be loving. You gotta accept them, and you gotta discipline them. You know what I mean? So when you start cultivating that, you understand what your role as a father is in whatever aspect you're in, then you can start putting the narrative, changing that narrative a little bit more. You know what I mean? So that's my take. Is just like, you know, I think a lot of us aren't being as transparent as we should be, we could be, with our wives, with our women in our lives, and definitely for our children, because they need to understand, like, yo, mom and dad messed up too, man. Mom and dad aren't perfect. We love to be Superman and Superwomen, but to understand that and then help understand that everybody goes through that is a strong key.
Yo, Marvin. Give it to us, bro. What you know what I mean? You heard Cam's. I don't know if you heard Cam's question, but Cam, you can repeat that real quick. You know.
We're just saying.
Yeah, if you could
How do
repeat the
you
question for me.
feel?
Sorry, my phone blanked out on me one time.
Oh no, you good, bro. I was just asking, like, how do you feel about the narrative of black
I
fathers
can't hear nothing.
going more positive?
Now we were saying that the narrative on black fatherhood, Cam said the narrative on black fatherhood is changing. Oh, you hearing us?
Let me see what's going on here.
Uh-oh. You back?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you.
I can't hear nothing.
You can hear us? Damn.
Mm.
Oh, that's rough. Studio don't like us that much.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
What the fuck?
Yeah, you should be able to hear us.
Put my headphones in.
Go to speaker. Go to speaker. Go to speaker. Go to speaker. Go to speaker.
That's it. Oh my gosh.
It's all good.
What is going on here?
It's all good. Yo, Theo. In the meantime, while Marvin's working on his sound, give us what you think about the narrative of black fatherhood changing.
Hello?
Hello.
Theo, go ahead, bro.
Okay.
Yeah,
man. I
so
mean,
now
the
I can hear
narrative.
you guys.
Oh, okay.
All right. Go ahead.
Whichever one of y'all want to go first.
Go ahead.
No, I need to hear the question again. Repeat the
Yeah,
question.
yeah. We were saying that Cam asked the question is, how do y'all feel about the narrative of black fatherhood changing?
I can't hear Steve though.
Oh, damn. What's going on?
Damn.
Cam, ask the question.
I can't hear you. I can hear somebody else though.
Hold on. Who can you hear?
You hear us now?
Nothing. Dang.
Hey yo, I can't hear nothing.
Wow.
Hold on.
Theo, go ahead, bro.
All right. Yeah, the narrative, man, it's already shifting. But what I can tell you is that even in my field of social work, you know, we still haven't updated our stuff to include fathers in our assessments and really building robust information. I mean, we exist, but sometimes we're seen as if we don't. And even back then, when they kept saying that there were no fathers in the home, even back then, if you remember, when people were getting Section 8 and people were getting food stamps, all those other things, the father was still in the home. They just couldn't put his name on the paperwork. So just remember that narrative, that media narrative out there that we don't exist is not true. We've always been there, but people couldn't get certain services. People couldn't get financial support if the name was on there. So, you know, they had to take the name off. Now you tell me why we would live somewhere where you couldn't list the father's name on stuff in order to get support. What kind of world is that?
Trash.
And so that hits home to black people.
Yeah.
All right.
Big facts. You hear us now, Marvin?
Yeah. How y'all prepare?
I still can't hear you, bro. I heard
what's
everything
going on
you
in the
just
world
said.
today.
Yo, Cam, so ask the question
Can you do
again.
me a
Because you
favor?
can't hear me.
All right, so we talking about the narrative on black fathers.
Yeah, black
household,
fathers.
correct?
Just
All
in
right,
general,
so,
household, worldwide, all of it.
First of all, yeah, that had a lot to do with how we were portrayed as a means of suppression and also influence, because of the simple fact that you had a lot of people who were saying fathers weren't in the home, and now the simple fact that those narratives are changing because the fathers are actually stepping out of the shadows. First of all, you're like, I don't know who y'all talking about, but y'all wasn't talking about me because I've been there. And then just with the aspect of what's going on today, what's been happening in societies, also, you know, just from the wisdom that's being passed down from the uncles and the older generations, and understanding that regardless of what's going on in any other household, your own household, your first and foremost primary care is to take care of your child. And I think that now these days that not only have the fathers stepped out of the shadows, but they are replacing, other gentlemen are stepping up to the plate and understanding what it means for a father to be in their life. You know, and just having those also, the stepfathers, the uncles, the grandfathers, all those gentlemen who stepped into places in the footsteps to help change these narratives. So then that way these younger men and the youth, they have somebody to look up to. So then that way when they have kids, they understand what it means to be there. And all our kids and they're starting to see that narrative has been falsified in so many different ways as well. And then not to mention, even speaking about what the gentleman said before me, and how they couldn't put their names on certain documents, so then that way they couldn't get the support. But you also got to think about it that the unemployment rate for black men in trying to get a job in America is almost 2 times of that of the white man, or any other race for that matter. So it was already one of those things where it was like, all right, well, you put his name on there. It was hard because he didn't have a job to begin with. If he did have a job, they would still say it was too much for you to make some kind of income from it. So that's why they didn't put their name on it. So now the tides are changing, and I'm glad I'm on here with these young black gentlemen that are creating a wave and understanding that we have to make these voices heard, so then that way we can show the world that it's not just what it's not just what they're showing, it's not what they're telling us, but you can see it from where we stand that all that is dead. Like, nobody is gonna try to hit. No, all the fathers are stepping up, the uncles, the grandfathers, everybody. So that narrative, I ain't even worried about it no more. I'm concerned about the future. The past has made us into what we are, and we have the ability to continue to change everything about the whole narrative, from the fathers to the household to the way that we act with our kids to the way that we act in public, all across the board, man.
Kim, you had another question? Go ahead, brother.
That's real. Yeah, with everything that's going on in the world today, as far as we see, I don't even think I need to even get into exactly what's going on, but how are y'all preparing y'all kids, educating y'all kids to go out here and to go into the world? Because like it's a lot going on right now. But one thing I can say that I've been seeing as far as the generations getting better is how active they are and resilient they are as far as combating what's going on with them. So how are y'all educating y'all young kids to what's going on in the world? Because that's a heavy weight to even speak to an 8-year-old or 5-year-old or something like that, to tell them, just off the basis of your skin color, the world is targeting you since you were born. So how are y'all like educating and preparing y'all kids to go out here and go into the world?
Go ahead. Just
all right.
talk that.
So my kids are pretty young, 4 and 2, but what we've been trying to do is to instill that there's nothing wrong with their skin color. There's nothing wrong with their hair texture. There's nothing wrong with who they are, and that they are entitled to the same rights and equalities as everybody else on this planet. So when we have, for us, we have to take that active role because society has sought to diminish us. We take that active role of trying to find educational kids books about the Black heroes that helped establish the United States of America. My wife is Trinidadian, my family is Panamanian, so we don't diminish that. You know what I mean? We try to raise our kids up bilingual. We try our best to understand, like, hey, it's okay to listen to, hip hop. It's okay to listen to rock music, country, whatever may have you, because that's the land you live in. But there's nothing wrong with where you came from, your family came from. This is soca. This is salsa. This is merengue. So showing all these things in which you and who you are is not a fault. So I feel like when they have the understanding that they are perfect beings, made perfectly, that no matter when they leave, no matter who interacts with them or tries to belittle them, they know that's straight BS. And I feel like that's what we can do now. I mean, as they get older, we're going to have the conversation that's appropriate for them. But for right now, we're just trying to make sure that, hey, your skin color is beautiful, man. Your intelligence is amazing. Your capabilities are endless. So giving them that confidence when they're younger, make sure that they know that even if they come against some kind of white supremacist or racist or what may have you, they can walk proudly knowing that, no, you're not going to beat me down.
Anybody got any extra thoughts on that? How y'all preparing y'all
Only extra thought is for me, man. I just teach them to be kind and loving to people, man. You know, at this age, my kids are so young at their age, they really don't know race. They don't know the difference. They don't see racism. None of that matters to them. So what does matter to them is having things that are theirs. So I want to teach them to share, to always be kind to other people, to always be nice to people, to speak to people with respect. That's what I'm teaching them.
For
Sure. For me, yeah, it's Cam. You asked a hell of a question, bro. Because this week, I had a very strong talk with my girls, 12, 8, a 3-year-old as well, but she just running around tearing up shit. But yeah, man, I had to break down essentially racism to a sense and really help them understand slavery and you know why our people are here in America and where we truly come from. And I've been ignorant to a lot of stuff, and I feel like ignorance is a choice. And I'm just now these last 3 months really just understanding myself and educating myself so much more. And now that I have to get this knowledge in order to instill them the tools. You know what I mean? So again, here we are, 12 years, 8 years in. I'm still growing. You know what I mean? Still learning different things on how to better parent the kids, but. Yeah, man, it's scary. It's tough, but like you guys said, man, just teach them that there's nothing wrong with the skin color. There's nothing wrong with anything that they want to do. You got to work hard for everything that you get. Like I put the $2 bills up on the refrigerator in the beginning of the week. Like, listen, y'all got to work hard for it. And once hit your tasks, get it in. You work and get your money. You get your money. Like, you get what you want. You know what I mean? Just really instilling the values and the morals, like, because again, it starts at home. We can't depend on the fucked up school system to teach them the shit that they need to learn. So it really starts with us. Again, I always encourage all of us to just spread these conversations right now. I love this. I really love this because, man, we have to help each other learn. We really have to help each other learn. It's okay to say, "Hey, I'm ignorant. I don't know what that means. I don't understand. Hey, let me borrow that book so I can read that too." Like, we really have to be a true collective, because it really takes a village. You know what I mean? And once we instill all these tools in our kids, man, it's not for us. It's the pass the baton. So it's like, make our impact while we're here and set it up for the next generation, and don't disappoint the previous generation. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of where I'm at.
Marvin, bro, what's good? Thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You said me, right?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So I had dropped off. I'm back. Oh Lord, we get ready to drop off again. Sorry, I'm out with my dad right now. You feel me? My father.
Okay. Happy Father's Day to the pops.
Happy Father's Day to him.
Thank you, brothers. It's good to hear those stories, man. Y'all following and doing it right. Keep on doing what you're doing, and I love you all, man. Just enjoy your lives and put the right things in your kids.
Yes, sir. We appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Good.
OG, appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm gonna need to fresh up. What was the question?
We're talking about preparing the kids for. Cam, go ahead. You ask a question, bro, because I don't want to butcher it. But preparing the kids for the world that they live in. I mean, like, we all black, y'all are all black fathers with black children. You know what I mean? So this is like, how do you even think about preparing kids for this type of world?
Oh, the preparation for this world. Ooh, it's a lot of different things to put into that one, but I'm gonna definitely have to. I'm gonna say that as far as love, I think that love conquers all. love is the, I think that is the center of it all, because when you have love, then there grows hope. There's faith, integrity comes from love. There's so many different things that can come from that specifically that I want to try to embody like into my daughter, so then that way she understands, like, you know, the hope part. Like, even though what we're going through right now, to have that hope and faith that we can all come out, everybody can come out on the better side, better on the other side of it all, and that it has to start with what you. It has to start with what you believe in, and if you believe that love can conquer all of that, and know that there's love inside of everybody, sometimes it's a little harder to find it, but if we drag that out, and I want to be able to tell my daughter, like, you know, about all the stuff that I was ignorant to. Like my man said, I was ignorant to it too. Like I just started studying. I started, you know, studying about the Black Wall Street.
Did he cut you out? Did he cut out? Did he cut out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably in a tunnel or something. He said he was about to cut out too. But
yeah. He said Black Wall Street. But yo, this is a excellent conversation. I'm not gonna hold y'all, like we had something else planned, but I feel like this conversation has gone in a place that I'm really, really thoroughly enjoying, because these are conversations, like y'all said, that we have. We don't have enough as men. So I thought of something that I'm gonna throw out there to y'all fellas. Seeing that Marvin was rolling with his pops, want to ask y'all, like, what is one thing that you learned from your pops?
1906.
What is one thing? What is one thing that you learned from your pops? That is something that you use with your children. And what is one thing that you learned from your father that you had to unlearn with your children?
I don't got no children, but I could go first.
Speak on it, because it doesn't matter. It's a black man conversation. Go ahead, Cam.
Yeah. So I actually grew up with a father and a stepfather, on two total different spectrums, different things. So my father, not to generalize him or diminish his character, but he was a street guy. And one thing I learned from my father was how to play the streets and how to be mindful and insightful in my surroundings. Like, I remember one time I went to a party and I had a couple dollars in my pocket. I'm dancing around, jumping around with some money in my pocket. Then I talked to my father the next day, and he was just telling me, like, hey, you got to watch your surroundings when you do stuff like that. Because there's people who might not have as much as you, or they might want what you got on you, and you flashing it and you flaunting it, and you not watching who's around you, who's talking about you and things of that nature. That could come back to bite you in the ass. And ever since then, I've just been so attentive of my surroundings. It's just like, it's not you humbling yourself or dimming your shine, but it's like doing it to enough to where is that people don't be envious of you. That's one thing I learned from him. And then another thing I learned from my stepfather was, man, how to really get out here and provide for your family, working day in and day out. Like, my stepfather would go to work 5 in the morning, come home 6 at night, cook dinner for everybody, make sure everybody's situated and good. Gave us really a life that me and my sibling really couldn't imagine having, to be honest with you. So that's one thing I learned from him, is just being honorable and being really hard working.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Go ahead, yeah. Whoever step up next to the table, fellas.
One thing I learned from my father is to not have expectations for people. Just live. Don't have expectations. All right. And I even use it in my practice when I'm working with couples now, and I tell them all the time, you know, expectations have ruined more relationships than any of the other negative behaviors have ever done. It's the expectations that we have that really ruin what we wanted for ourselves. The one thing I unlearned is to spend more time with my kids. My father, he worked a lot, didn't spend as much time as I think he would have liked to, or he should have. And so I'm intentional about spending that time.
All right. I guess you want to go, Marcus?
Yeah, I'll go. Yeah, my pops, man, interesting guy, to say the least. But be a leader, not a follower. You said that to me my whole life since I was born. You know what I mean? Be a leader, not a follower. Be a leader, not a follower. You know what I mean? And that really, and you know, it was the way I live my life now. I don't follow anybody else's agenda. I really just do, what me and my family want to do. You know what I mean? And how we operate and how we communicate and how we want to, it's just we just get down on a court. And I feel like so many people are not necessarily so many people, but a lot of us were afraid to really, be us. You know what I mean? Because of what the next person might say and all that. So I think my pops helped instill that into me. Just hey, be the lead. Like you don't need to wait for somebody else to come show you which way, figure out the way, and go get it. Um, Another thing, as far as what he taught me not to do, not necessarily not to do, but yeah, my father was a recovering crack addict. Watched him in and out of rehab homes when I was growing up. And he was just trying to get it, and he just couldn't. Just so heavily influenced into his surroundings that he just couldn't really see the importance of his two boys. You know what I'm saying? And I don't fault him for that. We had conversations. He still suffers with some of them demons to this day, and really can't really grasp the ownership and really like say, hey, yeah, I really fucked up, and this is how I'm gonna make it better. But again, he's still growing, same way we are. So, but yeah, man, just really just taught me just the importance of of just being a man and doing what I say. You know what I mean? And you know, it's yeah, that's about it.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
All
sir.
right. So, I for me, I will say, well, one thing my father has taught me, is to accept your responsibility, no matter what the situation is, to better, for your family and for your kids. Now, my father, I didn't grow up with my father, but he did not use that as an excuse not to provide for us, and not to be there for us in the best way they possibly can. So when I was growing up, when I had things that I needed, there he was. He did provided that up to this day that he helped us out with our grandkids and whatnot. Well, his grandkids rather. One of the things that I have to unlearn from him is being a father. One part is definitely being there and supporting financially, but just as important, maybe even more important, is to be there emotionally and be there physically. And then that spectrum is different depending on the man that you're with, the father that you're with, rather. But one of the things I have a very, very emotionally in tune son, and he's like, yo, dad, I'm sad, or I'm happy, I'm this, that, and the other. And like, I'm like, yo, how the heck do you deal with that? Like, okay, like you're sad, like, get over it. But I can't do that. I have to understand his emotions and then be transparent with him. Had to be flexible with him. With my daughter, I had to show her the emotions of like, daddy's here, that he will protect you. It's okay to be sad. So those are things that I did not necessarily have from my father, and I had to learn like, yo, like you were a good dad in what you had to do, but there's another part that needed to be put together, and that was the emotional part. So I have to unlearn, that kind of just quiet heart. You got to be really like vocal and with your kids of like, yo, it's how I feel. Daddy messed up. I'm sorry that this happened. I'm sorry that daddy yelled at you, or explaining why you got to be disciplined. So it's very how to learn to be very emotionally available for your kids.
Marvin, we glad to see you back, brother. What you got for us?
I mean, it's only the eighth time, Only the eighth time, Fella dropped off, yeah. Like I said, man, my apologies. Kind of wasn't expecting to be out today, too much running around, but like I said, came with my father-in-law, so you're gonna have to re-up on me one time with the question one more time.
Well, where we are right now is say one thing that you learned from your father that you use with your child right now, you use with your daughter right now, and one thing that you had to unlearn from your father that you were taught, because it wasn't necessarily the best for how you have to parent your child?
All right, so I got a two-part this thing real quick. And the reason why I got a kind of two-part this thing is because all right, so my biological father, we didn't necessarily have the best relationship. One thing I can definitely say that he instilled in me was to never stop trying, to never give up, and just to always try to keep pushing forward. And he always used to say certain things, just about, if it was easy, everybody could do it, so on and so forth. Those small little slogans and stuff like that. And as far as unlearning anything, I think the only thing I would say from him, the only thing I can say is the mindset, and not understanding that you don't have to settle for anything. You can always want more. You can always do more. You can always be better. You don't ever have to settle. It just depends on where you decide that you want to go with your mind and mentality, and you always push forward. If you don't want to be broke anymore, then don't be broke. If you don't want to be, if you want to learn how to skip, hop, and jump at the same time, then you got to start learning how to skip, hop, and jump at the same time. And it's never one of those things where you just kind of just settle. And that's probably one of the things I would definitely say that I kind of unlearned from my father. And now, like I said, it's kind of like a two-part thing because I picked up a lot of lessons from my father-in-law. Like, that's why I'm out with him now. And a lot of different things that I've seen him instill in, my wife, and the certain things to make sure that they're straight. He showed me so many different things that my biological father, never actually had a chance to show me. So handiwork to, just actually sitting down and sometimes processing something. Like, there's so many times where I've, been trying to do something at home, and my father-in-law, I've been in there for hours, and then my father-in-law comes by and he looks at it, and he literally, processes the situation. In 2 minutes, he fixes it. I'm pissed. I'm like, fuck that. So, that's why I said I kind of had a two-parter because, he opened up my eyes to a lot of different things. I never really traveled before I met my wife. I had traveled a couple times, but when, the first time I went out of country and I realized that there are so many different cultures and so many different ways that people live, and that, you can take from all these cultures in the knowledge and stuff like that from these people, and you can bring it back home with you, and you can understand that you can live a different way. You can think a different way. You can process a different way. So, and I got to thank him for that. I got to thank, and I got to thank my father for what he did instill into me. But the only thing I can say is that I have been trying to unlearn is the fact that settling, period. Like, I can always move up and push the ladder in the envelope, no matter if it's for me, my wife, or my kid.
Sheesh. To close this all out, like Uncle Cam, I'm not a dad. One thing my father did teach me that I have been trying to implement a lot better is all about your actions and not your words. I think a lot of us have a certain level of game. You know what I mean? And you can not just related. You can spit that game in life regardless with whoever. And it's gotten me out of a lot of situations where I could bullshit my way through a lot of situations. But the older not even the older you get, when you're concerned about the integrity and the character that you want to give to your children or give to the people around you, you know what I mean? So people can say, "Yo, you got this man has a certain level of integrity and whatnot." You know what I mean? You have to start being more about your actions and your words. You know what I mean? So if you say you're gonna be there for somebody, be there for somebody, no matter what it takes, no matter how far you got to drive. You know what I mean? Show up, be present. Things like that. If somebody needs something and you say you got them, and don't, you know what I mean? Not asking questions twice. You know what I mean? If you love people unconditionally, and sometimes that means, like philosophers said, not expecting anything back, but you holding yourself to your end of the bargain. You know what I mean? That's what life is about. Like, how other people react based on how you behave, that's their business. But it's on you to be a certain way at all times if you, in fact, want to be a person of character. One thing I had to unlearn from my father is, sometimes it's not. Sometimes, a lot of fathers, I think, and I think philosopher touched on this a little bit. A lot of fathers, they are not there because they're grinding, because they're hustling, because they're making that paper, because they want you to have a better life than they did. But even though I don't have kids, I know that you have to take interest in the things that interest them. It's their lives. You know what I mean? Like, whatever you've done with your life is your business, and you can always, like Marvin said, settling is never something that you have to live with. At any age, at any stage, no matter how hard it is, you can always press forward and push forward into something else. You know what I mean? But for your kids, it's pouring into them so they can chase their dreams, so they can be who they want to be. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like, they're going to have to answer for their life just like you're going to have to answer for yours. And, give them all the tools to succeed at what it is that they want to succeed, because you never know. You know what I mean? You never know where that could go. Me and my father, we bumped heads about a lot because my father could not see things the way I saw things. And as I've gotten older and he's gotten older, we've come to a meeting of the minds. But I understand that with my children, like, it's going to be completely different. Like, if this is an area where you want to flourish, my job as a father is to help you flourish and cultivate your soil in that area. Shout out to Janelle, you know what I mean? Shout out to Janelle. Yo, fellas, we have put in an hour and 17 minutes of this. I loved the conversation. I loved the real talk. Like,
hold on, freak. Before we tap out, right?
Oh, go ahead, Cam. Go ahead. You got something else? Go ahead.
Cause we had the last nice guys. We you know what I'm saying? We, like you said, we changed the narrative. And I think all the brothers across the board have daughters, right?
Yes, everyone does have a daughter. You're right.
All right, so so what's going on with changing the narrative? One of the biggest points that's going on right now is the protection of Black women in our community. So I want to say, what things are y'all teaching y'all daughters and how to protect themselves and going out to the world in the midst of dealing with, outside of racism and everything, but dealing with the things going on with, I gotta say, with these men that they aren't right in the head, to be honest with you. And then they have systematic oppression with workforces, jobs, even the medical thing. Like, I'm learning a lot of stuff as far as like how Black women get medical treatment and things of that nature. Like, I'm learning a whole lot. So like, what are y'all instilling in y'all daughters for them to grow up to I guess dodge or face the adversaries that's going to come their way, just simply them being women?
Man, I was about to talk and then I start thinking somebody else can go.
I got you. I'm definitely say you are not to be silenced. Like, what you say, what you feel, how you feel, you are valid to say or stand up for yourself. So, like what you were saying, Cam, about the whole medical field, my wife put me onto that because, I am in the medical field, but I don't, I'm kind of blind to that. I'm a male. I'm blind to how the interactions are with that. But what I saw was like, there's intimidation from the medical field, intimidation from the world around them onto the women, and that they cannot voice their opinions comfortably, that they cannot move comfortably in this world because they are deemed as a nuisance, as a threat, as something to be feared. And what they do is try to silence them. They try to, silence their interactions. So when it comes to our daughter and our son, is to express is like, you are not to be silenced. And for our son, we say, you are not to silence a woman, especially a Black woman. You know what I mean? You are to treat them as equal, treat them as everybody equal. For our daughters, like, you are if you have a passion that you need to vocalize, that you need to stand for, I'm afraid to say this, is like, I don't want to say as long as it's respectful, because there's some situations where it can't be respectful. You just got to be vocalized of what you have to say, what you need to say. As long as you protect yourself in the best way that you possibly can, make your grievances or make your passions known, and do not be silenced.
Get poetry snaps for that?
Sure.
Poetry snaps for that? Okay.
For me on my end, man, it's really, again, back to education. I want to educate my girls, not say educate, but just, I got to be the OG. I got to teach them what to expect out here in the world. When I say that, like, for instance, she's not my, I essentially took my little sister and she's 12. So that's really my oldest. My physical oldest is 8 years old. But nonetheless, the reason why I took her, and, her grades was slipping, she just always striving for attention all over the place. So, now me getting in her head, it's like, why are you striving for this type of attention? You know what I mean? Like, what do you, like, really just trying to figure her out so I can ultimately teach her how to navigate and understand different people, character traits. One of the things I love doing is just studying people, just understand how people operate and why they operate certain ways. And so that, now trying to instill that into my daughters on, essentially just what to expect in real life. Like, it's, and ultimately just, we gotta love and protect themselves first before anything. You know what I mean? And that's why, again, I don't put hands on them, because I want them to be able to come to me with anything. Like, this boy wrote a note, slipped in a locker. Do you like me? Yes or no? You know what I mean? She came to me and said, what should I do? You know what I'm saying? That's the type of shit that is where, like, that day was really like, damn, okay, I've got it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm keeping her comfortable. She understands that I'm not here to wag my finger or scream at her for doing, for mistakes. It's really just, hey, come to me when you're ready to learn. And I'm always going to be regardless. I'm not going to force nothing. You know what I mean? Just really be an open book. And then ultimately, again, I look at it like this. If I treat my girls the way that they should be treated, they're going to look for that type of man when they grow up and get married and start their own life. So, it really starts with us. We're a direct reflection of what their future husbands should be. So really just instilling the knowledge and understanding people, and just really just being an open book of communication, because they're going to learn, they're going to fall on their face 1,000 times. But, it's to understand how to get back up from that fall. So, but yeah, man, just get in their head and just have them full conversations for me.
All right. Marvin was here. He's back, I think. Waiting for his joint to connect. And there we go. Yeah, Marvin, bro. Protecting a daughter, protecting and raising a black daughter in 2020, bro.
Oh, that's where we at with it?
Yeah, brother.
Hey, look, the Second Amendment, your right to bear arms.
Nice.
Facts. All right, so protecting and raising your daughter 2020. Hey, y'all be having some good questions, Joe, but they be kind of vague, because I be like, yo, I kind of have
want to
like
hear it, bro.
things,
Off the dome, whatever you got.
You got to go with dreams. You got to go with goals, aspirations. You got to go with hand-to-hand combat. You got to go with, learning the principles behind, self-defense, the laws that protect you, the laws that are built to be against you, the strikes that they already put against you, and just being knowledgeable and the education that has to go behind all of those principles is definitely a part of protecting yourself. because you have to protect your dream and goals by any means necessary. Because if you don't, then there's always going to be somebody who's going to try to doubt you for it. There's always going to be somebody who tells you can't do it. Then there's also going to be the people who try to stop you from doing it. So you got to protect those at all costs, because ultimately your dreams and your goals is what filters through your mindset every day, day in and day out, and that's what propels you to be the best you that you have to possibly be in order to reach that, that pinnacle of success or whatever that might be for you. And it's just like a lot of the drive and ambition is like that has to be protected, and you have to kind of instill that too, because there's going to be so many different obstacles that they have to face in the world of today and the world of tomorrow, that they have to be prepared for. So you definitely have to make sure that they're knowledgeable, that, like, yo, no matter what's going on, like, you have to hold on to those certain particulars, but you can't sacrifice your integrity either. You have to make sure that what you do has to be at the highest level of of love, compassion, empathy, all these other kind of emotions, but you want to make sure that they're positive emotions that you're also communicating through. And that's kind of difficult, being as a, obviously raising a girl in 2020, but that's what we're here to do. We're here to educate them. We're here to push them beyond those limits, to know that they have limit, that they can surpass any limit that they actually put on themselves or that anybody puts on them. Then there's also, obviously, like, for my girls, my wife and my daughter, my wife, she's going to be starting soon, but hand-to-hand combat. I'm trying to make sure that whether it be mentally they got to protect themselves or physically, they're going to know what to do. My daughter, when she's 2 right now, when she turns 4, I already talked to one of my homeboys. He teaches like a junior jiu-jitsu class and stuff like that. So I'm going to just try to put her in there. It's going to help her, burn some energy, so that way she can calm the fuck down, but she can also still start to learn, different routines of discipline too. Different routines of discipline. And then, just actually her being that young and kind of try to get her mind focused and ready for stuff like that. So then that way she can protect herself out here in the real world of daddy ain't around. Because I don't know if you guys have seen it, but his name is Derek Grace. And he had a video that went viral where he had his daughter loading up a gun, blindfolded, giving him black historic facts at the same time. Look him up. His name Derek Grace. And
Okay.
it was one of those things where he was like, if daddy dies, who's coming to save you? She says, nobody. And then he says, and what's your job to do after that? He said, protect my brothers and sisters and my mom at all costs. If I have to shoot him, whatever the case may be. But it's definitely real. So I definitely want to make sure that my daughter protects her mentality. She protects her mind. She protects her spirit. She protects her heart. And also she physically protects herself, because there's nothing worse than hearing about, a young female or a young male who's in a situation and they don't know how to react. They don't know how to defend themselves. They don't know, what to do in certain situations. So our best thing to do is to prepare them mentally, physically, emotionally, on all realms and all bases, on all planes. Because if there has to be a substantial balance, because if you don't have a substantial balance, they may be emotionally and mentally trained, but then if there's a physical situation that happened, they might be physically and mentally prepared. I mean, they might be mentally or spiritually prepared. Like, all right, look, I'm calm, I'm cool, but I still don't know what the fuck to do in this situation. They might be calm as ever. They might be prepared to do what's necessary, but they still need to know what's necessary that needs to be done. So, protect them at all costs. You got to protect them on all planes. Spirituality, make sure that they have peace within themselves. Make sure that they love themselves. Make sure that you give them those affirmations in the morning. I am smart. I am beautiful. I am kind. I'm compassionate. Because those are the kind of things that also keep them humble. No matter how great they become, it still keeps them level-headed. So then that way they understand, like, I'm still a human. I'm still a person. I'm still going to have emotions. But I got to keep myself grounded each and every day, because if I don't, I can easily get lost in this world. All right, I'm in there.
Listen. I'm really glad I had y'all on, because it feels like the podcast went in a different direction, and I'm glad it did, because we need to have these conversations more often. We need to have these conversations as Black men. We need to change these ideas. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're bouncing around these ideas on fatherhood. You know, I'm sure we're hearing some things for the first time. You know what I mean? Even though people are, you know, at this point, y'all are getting up into, you know, regular status in this game. Y'all know what y'all doing. Y'all figured out, you know, your method of fatherhood, but opening up to new ideas and things like that. The philosopher had to roll, and I don't know where Uncle Cam is. I just wanted to see if he had any more questions before we. Oh, go ahead, bro. You got more?
I think I need to get insight on. Everything was pure facts, man. Everything was pure fucking facts. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
bro.
saying? And I think, like I said, as far as changing the narrative and us being the brotherhood, like I feel as though like this little community, if the time comes, I could go out and reach to individually to each one of them to get insight on things. And I think that's like it's a real thing that we needed, because like a lot of times it was just the blind leading the blind that led us to that narrative of black fathers not knowing what they're doing or not being around and things of that nature. And a lot of times we did shun out the people who weren't actual fathers, as far as like the stepfathers, the uncles, the, you know what I'm saying, just the men, the football coaches, the basketball coaches, and things of that nature. And I feel as though it's that old saying, it takes a village to raise a child, and that doesn't
Absolutely.
just apply to women; it applies to us as well. So I think as long as we
Absolutely.
do our points together, bro, that narrative's probably not going to exist within the next couple of years. To be honest with you,
Bro, I'm sorry. You struck a nerve with that one, yo. With the whole village, with it takes a village to raise a child, because that was actually going to be, because, all right, so on Facebook, my name is Marvin Greenwich. All right, Marvin, last name Greenwich. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to work on doing these segments called Mind Unplugged. And my segment today was actually going to be about the village raising the child, because we got too many of these young dudes, young women out here that are being misled, not being guided, and not having that support system. And because it's certain people that don't want to check somebody else's child because they're afraid of somebody else's reaction. Check that child, period. Because if you don't check them and nobody else checks them, they're going to continue to keep doing what they're doing. We're going to keep having these same senseless killings, and these neighborhoods still going to be fucked up because somebody didn't speak up when they had a chance, or they didn't speak up because they were scared, or because whatever the case may be. But people have to raise these kids as a village. If you know that somebody's child is out here doing something that they ain't got no business doing, man, correct that child. Deal with the parent later, but correct him now. Fuck that.
Facts.
Y'all came
Sorry, it struck a nerve.
today. Nah, I feel you.
Sorry.
I feel you. So lastly, I know we've been here for a little minute, but last thing I want y'all to do before we boogie, take a little quick moment. And to the hashtag Black Fathers Matter, I want you to add because and your personal thing why Black fathers matter.
All right, bet.
Take a minute to think about it, and then, you know. You throw up some
I got a
hashtags.
bar for y'all.
Got a bar, okay.
I got mine. Black fathers, man, we trying to leave legacy. That's why black fathers matter. Bitch, we leaving legacies out here.
Right.
That's why.
Hey, yo.
Because bitch, we
Hey, yo.
these legacies out
That's
there.
why.
Hey, yo. I got to take an extra second, yo. He actually took what I was going to say out of my mouth.
Wow.
Right. Y'all on the same wavelength. For me, Black fathers matter because without us, there wouldn't be Black women. Not. Well, I don't like the way that came out though. Not that. I mean, but you
Remix it, bro. You got the
understand.
time.
Like,
Remix it.
yeah, no, I mean, I just look at it like this, man. Like, we need more Black queens, we need more Black women, and it really starts with us. You know what I mean? And we are important to really, instill what we can in our Black daughters, and don't just have a Black daughter and go. Like, you know what I'm saying? We have to be influential in their lives. That's what it boils down to.
I like that.
Okay.
I definitely like that one, bro. That was definitely dope. Black fathers matter because we raise the future. Whether it's male, female, we
We're here to raise these kids to provide a better future for the world. I can't put it in no simpler term than that. When we raise them right, then it makes the world a better place for everybody.
Black fathers matter because Black fathers matter. Like, you guys got it, man. Black fathers matter because we need to form our own agency.
Ooh.
That's pretty much form our own agency. Black fathers matter because throughout history, you know, we have not been able to cultivate that generational wealth, have not been able to cultivate that generational stability and protection from all fronts. So now is the time that we work to form our own agency, form our own ways to protect our families.
Black fathers matter because Black lives matter, because Black sons matter, because Black daughters matter, because Black wives matter, because Black mothers matter, because Black communities matter, because we are, because above all else, Black fathers matter because we are the vanguard to our own revolution. We are the vanguards of our community. We are the protectors, the providers, the shoulders to cry on. We are Black fathers matter because, like I said, Black lives matter and Black love matters. And Black fathers are revolutionary. Don't let anybody tell you any different. Any man, any person who changed the world, if you read their stories, if you read the stories of Malcolm X, if you read the stories of Martin Luther King, you know, people like that, Black fathers played a huge role in how those men saw the world.
Facts.
Yes.
All facts.
For sure.
Yes.
Well, fellas, this was a dope thing. Before we go, fellas, Marcus, Marvin, John, once again, go ahead and plug y'all stuff, plug y'all Instagram, plug y'all business ventures, plug whatever y'all want to plug.
Boom. All right, I'll go first. Again, Marcus _ Marcus forever, but it's Marcus 8. You know, mama named me Marcus, y'all can call me Marcus. You know what I'm saying?
And that's on Instagram, right?
Yeah, it's on Instagram. Okay. Bringing light and changing culture is the brand, BLACC. This patch kind of represents that whatever you bring here to this earth, that one thing that makes you special, that 2 things that make you special, those 10 things that make you special. Let your light shine. You know, we're rolling out with a lot of different things. Generally geared towards music, which again, you guys can go on my Instagram and check out a lot of stuff. But yeah, man, bring a light and change the culture, bro. Just here to make an impact while I'm here on the earth, bro. That's all.
Yes, sir.
All right. So first one is themushroom.tech. Again, themushroom.tech on Facebook and Instagram. My wife's business venture with web development and graphic development for any website or graphic logos that you will need. Just hit her up and you'll get her. Podcast is On the Real Tip. Again, it's a Black couple just trying to raise 2 kids in this crazy world. So we pose our questions to the world and try to see out how we're going to figure it out to basically raise our kids the best we can. And last but not least, it's Genome and Juju on the Instagram. It is a way to cultivate and educate our children how to raise food, like where the food comes from. It doesn't come from the grocery store. It's just a means of getting it. You know, so learning how to, you know, grow carrots, know how to grow lettuce, tomatoes, and whatnot, how to cultivate flowers and stuff for your kitchen and for your house.
Okay. Marvin, go ahead, bro.
All right. first of all, co-host to Not Safe for Ears. You can catch that on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Not Safe for Ears. Make sure y'all check that out. Definitely informational, as well as get a few laughs with my co-host Nick. You can follow him too, man, at Nick So Loud on Instagram. Then also you can make sure that you follow my business page, which is personal training. The page is called Immortal Fitness 24/7. My personal page, MG2_fit. Then there's my actual Facebook page, which is my name, Marvin Greenwich. I'll be doing a segment tonight called I call it a segment, rant, whatever you want to call it. It's called Mind Unplugged. I'm actually just gonna give my quick little 2 cents on, fatherhood and whatnot. Then there's also my YouTube channel, Immortal Fitness 24/7. That's gonna be coming. It's about fitness and motivation and how to translate what you do in fitness over to your everyday life. That's it right there, bro.
All right, yo, Kim, what you got for the people before we boogie, yo? We have a moment of elegante, or we not doing that today? Uh-oh.
Moment of elegance for this week, man. I just want to say thank y'all for leading the way, for being outstanding men and role models. Happy Father's Day. Take a shot on me and run in the club raw and shoot that thing up tonight. Another one out in the universe.
Nah, that's for you. You and Steve. Hey, it's time, brother.
Hey,
what you waiting on?
Yo.
Might as well bust loose on Father's Day, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, listen. Soon.
Passing that to you.
I gotta find her.
Passing that.
Game proper, just a quote for y'all real quick. A father once said to his son, "Careful where you walk." And the son replied, "You be careful, I'll walk in your footsteps." And that's why Black fatherhood matters.
I like it.
That's why Black fatherhood matters.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yes, sir.
Hey, bro.
Listen.
That was the one.
That was the one. That's the one. That's the way to end it.
That was the one. That was the one.
I hear y'all. Yo, fellas, I appreciate y'all coming on. Thank you for giving me a portion of your Father's Day. Thank you for giving us a portion of your Father's Day. And welcome to the Last Nice Guys family. I know all y'all individually, but now y'all part of LNG family. You know what I mean?
Appreciate it.
Everybody out there, internet world, thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. The video will be up on YouTube later if you didn't get a chance to watch live. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Thank y'all for joining us. And happy Father's Day to all the dads, all the uncles, all the father figures, coaches. You know what I mean? Everybody. All right. We appreciate y'all.
All right.
LNG, we out.
Peace.
We out.
You're